Well, my clock is telling me it is time to get started. So first of all, welcome to everyone. This session is on digital binders and tracking your data. And we were looking at a variety of different ways to hold that data. You know, we're in this remote situation, and we just can't have a binder on a table and have that conversation with our students right now. So in order to kind of do that digitally, we need a container that's going to hold this data that I'm going to have access to as the teacher and my kids are going to have access to. And one of the things that we were thinking about was Bulb. Bulb is a great container system because it's like for our portfolio system, right? And I'm going to go ahead and start presenting now. So I'm going to do a Chrome tab here. Give me just a second. And we're going to start with, we'll start with Bulb here. Here we go. All right, so here is my Bulb page, and I'll give it just a second to load up on your screens there. Bulb is something that we're pushing out, of course, at the district level, and we're asking that our teachers kind of get their feet wet with this. And we also want our students to create a Bulb portfolio system for themselves. Now, this Bulb portfolio will stay with them after they leave the district. So everything that they put in there, it's going to be like this gigantic, folder that's going to have all of this stuff in it. So of course, it's going to be kind of important that they organize it properly, right? So the first thing that we want them to do, of course, is to create their main page, which is this. This is the main page of their Bulb. Now, what I've done here is I've kind of created a few pages, and I've done some academic data, and I've done some non-academic data, and I've even done some stuff that's just like family type stuff. And I was going to show all that to you. And then when we're going to get into the data is, how did I create those spreadsheets? How did I do that? What is this conditional formatting thing you're talking about? So we're going to get into some of that stuff too. So that way, along the way, you're going to learn, hopefully you'll learn a couple of things about spreadsheets today, but you're also going to learn a little bit about Bulb today. I'm kind of sneaking this in here today. So here's my main page here, and I have a couple different ways I can view this page. Right here, I'm looking at just each of my individual what they call collections. Now, Bulb has some different type of a language, and we normally talk about, okay, we have like a website, and then we have individual pages within that website. But Bulb uses the term collection and pages within that collection. So I want you to think of Bulb back in the day when I was in school. My mom was really big into Tupperware, and there's probably some people out there whose parents were into Tupperware. And I had one of those lunch boxes, and everything inside, and here's one of Shelley's words, was very matchy, right? Everything was the same color. You either had the yellow one or you had the red one. I had the yellow one. And so Bulb is like the really pretty container, the really pretty lunchbox. And inside of that lunchbox, you have all of these collections. And when you open up the collections, that's where you'll see all your individual pages. That's where your lunch lives. So right here could be considered my sandwich container, and this could be my pudding container, whatever it may be. I'm going to go ahead and change the view just so you can see that you can have any number of collections, which are your like your little containers within your big container, right? So I'm going to go ahead and open up my life experience. Now think about your kids and making their Bulb here, because we don't want this just to be all about just the academic data, because our children are more than just their academic data. They've got personal lives, and right now in this remote time, I don't know about you, but I think a lot about my family right now. Of course, I'm with them a lot, and I think about a lot of my personal stuff because I'm here, and I think our kids are the same way. And so we want to give them that opportunity to share that with us in a format like this would be perfect. And not only that, but it's also giving them a little bit more personalization for their their bulb. And if you could even make a rubric about this bulb and say, okay, on your life experience page, or, all about me page, I would like you to tell me, about your goals, or you could make it say whatever that it is that you wanted them to do for their bulb, but in a, of course, in an academic way, but also allowing them to, again, personalize. So I'm going to go ahead and click in here to my life experience. And yeah, everything about me is sharks. So I apologize, or the ocean. And so this is me. So this is like my personal stuff, right? I've got pictures of my kids. I'm talking about my experience within the district. I have some pictures of my family in here. These are individual pages. This is an individual page right here. Okay. These are little videos and things that I included that I put into my Google Drive. Super, super easy to add to this page. And I'm going to show you how easy it is. All I did was click, and you'll see I'm getting the video. I can add an image. I can add files. I can add audio files. And I can even add URLs, so I can add links from anywhere, or, around the internet, right? Now, I'm going to tell you, bulb can be public. We can make it as public or private as we want. We have access to all of our students' bulb pages and bulb collections and their whole profile. As a teacher, it's going to be rostering through Clever, which means I'm going to have access to all of my kids. They don't have to share it with me. I get to see it automatically. And I'm going to show you in just a second where to find that. But I wanted to let you know that this is a public thing. However, if I am putting Google documents on here, if I am putting things from my Google Drive, and we've all come to realize this the last couple of months, that we don't have that ability to share outside the district anymore. So anything that we see within our Google Drive in bulb is only going to be seen to other people who have access to YISD, and that's students, teachers, administrators, anybody with a YISD email account. So if I'm on the outside and I try to see this bulb, some of this stuff is going to be blocked because I'm using an outside account and I don't have the correct access or the correct credentials to see it. Just to be aware of that. But that makes it safer for your kids, right? I totally believe that. So if I want to add a video, I just click video. I want to add an image, I click image. And I'm just going to show this to you real quick here. I'm going to show you the options that you have. You can upload, you can use, if you've got already stuff that you've used in bulb, it's what they call the asset library. You can get things from your Google Drive, from OneDrive. If you use OneDrive, I know a lot of people do not use OneDrive. Or you can do a web search. So you can actually search for images online that are copyright free. Or if you use Google Photos, you can also access your Google Photos. Now, your students do not have access to Google Photos, just you do, okay? And of course, you can also browse your desktop, or if your students do have pictures on their devices, they can upload those as well. So that is it's so easy to put things into their bulb. I'm going to go ahead and click in here again. File. This is the big one. This is the one that we're going to really be looking at today, how to get that data in here. And we're going to take a look at those data pages here in just a second. So if I click File, again, it's going to give me those options. But there's my Google Drive, and this is where I'm going to be pulling stuff to put into my bulb from my Google Drive, okay? So if I click on Google Drive, what it's going to do is, first of all, it's going to ask me, now you're probably not seeing this pop-up window here, but it's going to ask me what account I want to use. And of course, I'm going to use my account for the district, and then my Google Drive will pop up, and I can pick and choose files from my Google Drive. Okay, so that's what the file is. And audio files. Now, audio files, they've just added a couple of really cool features to this. I can record audio now. So I can actually record audio in here and put it into my bulb. So again, your students could do this. This is great. This is awesome, an awesome feature. Also, if I have songs or if I have audio files, maybe I've created them in Twisted Wave, I've read a story, I can pop those in there as well. And of course, I have access to my Google Drive again as well. You have pretty much access to everything to put into the bulb. Now, again, the bulb is public, but a lot of this stuff will not be seen on the outside because it's only access for YISD people, okay? So let's go back. I'm going to go back here to I'm going to go ahead and click on bulb, and that's going to take me back to the main page. And I'm going to go take a look at the data, because we're going to get into this data today. We're going to get into how did I create this data? How did I display it? And what are some ways that we can collect it? So if I'm a student, I can have some non-academic data. And of course, I probably want to name it something a little more exciting than my non-academic data. But I just did that just for kicks for today. Okay. So here's my non-academic data, and this is kind of like, this is like real data. I'm going to go ahead and present this, and when I present it, it's actually going to put it into a little prettier form, because I'm not editing it, I'm actually presenting it. Okay, give it just a second to load, and here we go. So what this is, we bought a treadmill not that long ago, because, you know, we're just not moving very much anymore. And so I've been tracking how many miles I've been walking and how many minutes I've been walking. So this is my non-academic data. And I even added how I'm feeling about doing the walking. And in the beginning, I wasn't too happy. As you can see, I was kind of sad. And then I started to get happy because I realized I was doing better, right? All right. So, and I also put a graph in here. Super easy to insert a chart. You just, you know, you figure out what data that you want, you highlight it, and it will start a chart. And any time I add a new date to it, it actually adds it to my chart automatically, because it's in Google Sheets. So it's really, this is very, very beneficial if I'm looking at data as a student, and I'm inputting it myself. And that's kind of an important thing too, is to get your kids to be able to do this. So first of all, you're not tracking all of their data for them. They are helping you, but then they're in that process. And what's that going to do for your students? It's going to help them to, oh, wow, look at what I did here. They're going to actually kind of really look at it a little bit deeper if they're in that, if they're helping them in that process of recording it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and exit. Okay. So I have some walking data here. And I also have some attendance data. Okay. So this one here, I'm actually going to pull up the spreadsheet on this one, because I want to show you, you know, if I, at a glance right here, I'm looking and I can see that I also have some assessments that are on here. And maybe I want to look at this, even though this is in the non-academic data, because it's really about attendance, but it's also about assignments as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up. Let's see, make sure I'm pulling up the right one here. And it's running just a little slow. There we go. Okay. So this is my, this is kind of an overall arching view of a lot of different things that you can do within a Google Sheet. And I wanted to show you several of these things. And again, if you have a question about how I did something, please make sure that you do ask them, because I want to make sure you're getting everything that you need. All right, so I have these students here, and I have their daily attendance. Now, this was, of course, back in June, but you'll notice that there's a little disclosure arrow here. And this is because that I added what's called data validation to this whole column right here. And when I click in it, it's going to give me all of the dates that I have for the month of June and the beginning of July before we left on the holiday. So if I wanted to change it, right now it's on June 15th. If I change it to June 22nd, you'll notice that it changed right away. As a former first grade teacher, this would be very, very helpful for me with those students. Instead of having them type in dates or subjects or things like that, I can actually have it put it in for them, and it's what they call a data validation. And we'll talk about how to do that in just a minute. I also added some check marks here that I can just check and uncheck, and it's a quick insert. I also inserted some, you know, some happy faces and sad faces emojis. And in order to add more, you just click on it, and then it's a copy. If you're on a Mac, that's going to be a Command C. And if you're on a PC, that's going to be a Control C. And then the paste is Command V on a Mac or a Control C on a PC, just to copy. Another way you can copy it is, you see how I have my box around here? And you see where that little plus comes in? If I pull it down one, it's going to add it down below. And I can do that for a whole row if I wanted to do it very quickly. So there's a lot of different ways that you can copy and paste things within Google Sheets. And again, we'll talk about how I inserted those in just a little bit. But this is kind of where the magic happens right here. You're going to notice that if it's 90 or above, they're all green, right? And if it's 80s and part of the 70s, it's kind of like a peach color. And if they're like low 70s or 60s, or even in the 50s, it's kind of like a reddish color. So I can see these color schemes, and I can say, oh, okay, I know where we need to work on. I know what you need to focus on. And again, this is great for smaller kids, for upper grade kids, because it's just a glance, and you're getting a feel for this assignment. Now, we heard Catlin Tucker today talk about grading and how we need to maybe cut back a little bit on that grading. You could almost use this like as a rubric too, where you can put any number in here to do the conditional formatting. This is conditional formatting right here, okay? And we're going to get into how to do that here in just a second. I think I have some conditional formatting set here as well. Yes, I have some different colors set here as well. So if I put in a different number, the color will come up. So how did I do that? Let's get into that. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. You see how I clicked up here at the top and the whole entire column got highlighted. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to Format, and I'm going to go down to Conditional Formatting. And it's going to tell me right away that I already have what are called rules set up for this particular column. All right, so if I click on this rule here, let's take a look at what it says. All right, if the data that is in the column or in that cell is greater or equal to 90, it is going to make it green. And I don't have to make it green. I can just click right here and I can choose whatever color that I want. Maybe I want to make it this light blue. Oh, look at that. It changed it automatically on my, the color scheme is kind of a little off there, but that's all right. I'm going to leave it because you see how I changed it. All right. I can also go down to my next row. I click done and I can go to my second rule. And now this one is between. So it's got to be between 89, because you remember 90, it's making it that light blue color. So 89 to 75 is going to be like this kind of peachy color. And if I don't want that color, again, I just click and I can change it. Let's change it to, I'm so prone to green. I'll change it to a dark green. All right, and click done. And again, I can change this one. If I want to add a new rule, I just click add another rule. And then I can decide what I want inside of my cell, okay? So we're going to format the cells if, and is empty, is not empty. You can decide on what you want. If the text contains, if the text does not contain, if there's a date in there. But these are the ones that I use with my numbers, is greater than or equal to. And you're going to have to go back to your math times and think, okay, is it greater than, equal to? What numbers, what number sequences that you want within your column. Okay. And then once you do that, you get that set up, and we'll just say greater than, right? Then you're going to put in the number in here. Maybe I want it to be greater than 85, right? And if it's greater than 85, then I would go ahead and click, and I can change the color and do that. And then I click done. Okay. Any questions? So are we good there, Mr. Smallwood?
Yes, we have just one. Somebody wanted to know if you had a general data template that you could share with the teachers as a starting point.
I can put something together for you. I don't have one that's like designed, as I know everybody kind of does their data differently. So, whoever that is asking that question, if you will email me, and I can walk you through some of the steps, so that way you can begin working on your own template, because I think it's really important that you learn how to do this, so that way you could share this out with your students. Now, sharing out with your students, so you would make your template or your data sheet, and then you're going to want to share that out with your students, right? So how would you share that out? I would share it out through Google Classroom, and I would make sure that all of my students had a copy. That way their name is up here. You'll see their name and then the monthly data sheet. If it's a weekly data sheet, if it's an attendance sheet, but it'll have their name on it. So that way it's a part of their Google Drive as well, right? And then what they can do is then, of course, put it into their bulb. And then, so then you of course, you're already going to have access through Google Classroom, but then that way it's there to display, right? And then you'll have access to that to see how they've actually displayed their data and making sure that they're staying up with the data, right? Okay, so that's how we do the conditional formatting for this section here. We're going to get back over here.
We have a second question.
Yes, yes.
Would it be possible to link student data to the main data sheet that individual has? And then a follow-up is each student should have their own correct, not showing other students' grades.
That's how I would do it. That's how I would do it. I know that involves making, again, making those copies for your students, but, we're all about sharing the data, and I understand the importance of sharing data, and having that classroom culture that, we're all in this together. But I also know that even with all of the data sharing, there's still some data that's out there that maybe our students don't really want to share. Maybe some of that non-academic data, I really didn't want to show people that I only walked a mile and a half and it took me 25 minutes to do that. That's kind of like, not the best thing in the world, but that, maybe there might be some of that they want to kind of keep to themselves. And in this format, they'll be able to share it out if they want to, within the bulb, but it's shared with you, and again, you have those conversations with your kids, but it's not, you know, plastered out there for everybody else to see. I'm not going to be on a data sheet where I can check on another sheet and I can see Johnny's data and then I can see Alyssa's data. I'm only going to be able to see my data. And that's important because I don't really need to see Alyssa's data, right? I can just look at mine. Now, if we're talking about, wanting to create experts and things like that within the classroom, maybe there's another data sheet that's out there that lists those experts in those areas. And of course, your kids can help you to create something like that as well. I hope that answered your question. I hope. All right. Well, we're gonna go back over here to where I had the data validation in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this whole entire column, right? And I'm going to go up here to where it says data. So when I wanted to format, had the conditional formatting, I went to format, and for the data validation, I'm going to go to data, and data validation is about halfway down the page. So I click on that, and now it's going to say, okay, right now we can do a list of a range if we want to. Well, I don't want to do a range. So I click on the little disclosure arrow. And what I do is I do a list of items. Okay. So right here on this one, what I did was I put in the dates, and all you do is put in the dates and you separate them by commas, and that's it. And then I also made sure this is checked, show drop down list in the cell. And I hope you can see my little pop-up window. I didn't even ask. Can you see that, Mr. Smallwood?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I want to make sure, because sometimes I think you can see something and you can't, and then that's on me. So I want to make sure. All right. So if you want to show the drop down list, and that means so when they click on the little disclosure arrow, all of those items will be listed there for them. Okay. And then all you do is click save. Now I can remove the validation that I already put in there. I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this out because I want to keep this data validation here. Okay. So I have data validation, and again, you just put in a list. Maybe you're doing the days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Maybe it's for what type of assignment it is. Is it a science assignment? Is it a math assignment? Is it an SEL assignment? So you can put those in there as well. And then that way, all they have to do is click on it. Because a lot of times that data gets a little skewed if somebody writes SEL with all lowercase and then somebody else writes SEL with all uppercase, and then it just doesn't. It's you're looking at everyone's individual sheet, but it's easier if it all looks the same, right? Okay, so we have our check marks here. So all I did here was I just went up here to insert, because I'm going to insert them into the cells. All right. And you're going to see it says checkbox right there. So if I go to another group of cells over here, if I just go to this one here, and I'm just going to, all I did was highlight the whole entire column. I can highlight just an individual cell, or I can highlight the whole column. And I go to insert, and I go down to checkbox. There, just put the checkboxes in there. I can change the size by changing the size of the text. That's how I did this right here. Okay. I can also insert images into my cells. So if I click on another, I'm just going to put it into one cell this time, just so you can see the difference. I click on insert, and I'm going to go to image, and I can put it either inside the cell or over the cells. I do mine inside the cell, so that way they're kind of contained in there. All right. And then it's going to ask me, and I hope that you can see this window that's popping up here. It's taking its time. It's thinking about it. I wonder if my kids are streaming right now. And you're going to see that you have the options to upload, you have the camera, you can do Google Drive, and you can do a Google image search. And that's how I searched for those emojis. I just went to the Google image search, and then I typed in smiley face emoji or meh face emoji. And then I just typed that right up in here, and then they started to appear here. So if I type in smiley face, and here's all my smiley faces. And I think this is the one that I actually use. So if I click on it, I get a little blue box around it, and then I click insert. And it's going to put it right in there for me. Give it just a second. There it is. If I don't want it on the side, I can actually click in here, and I can go to the cell here, and I can put it in the middle, because it's kind of like it's text. So I can actually put it in the middle. And then if I want to put it into the next one, I can just drag this down, and there it is. And I can do that all the way down. Okay. So using a spreadsheet is really a great way, obviously, to not only keep a hold of that data, but there's a lot of ways that you can make it a little more exciting than just putting numbers in there. You can add color, you can add images, you can add check boxes, and that little bit of data validation to make it easier for your students, so they're not having to type out as much. And because when it's less clicks, I know for me as a trainer, when I have people do less clicks, it's easier for them. And I want to make things easy for my students, so that way they're not so worried about what they're inputting, but they're more worried about looking at the actual data and how that's going to help them to be a better student. Okay. Are there any questions? Are we good? Because I do want to go back to the bulb to show you where you can see your student bulbs. So I'm going to go back to my bulb. Okay. And I'm going to go back to the main page here. All I did was click on bulb, and it's going to take me all the way back to the main page. All right. So now I'm going to go look at the groups here, because the groups are where you'll be able to see all of your kids. And I believe if I click here, I click on my name, and it's going to show me the activity that's happened, because I'm part of at the district level. But under groups, right here, groups. Now I'm only seeing Isleta because I see everybody in Isleta. But what you're going to have as a teacher is you're going to have everybody who's in your class. Now, if you teach several classes, of course, you're going to have all of those students in there. And you'll have access to their bulb, and you can actually just click in there. And I don't know if it's going to let me see anybody in there. I don't know if it's going to let me or not. Let me see here. It's thinking, possibly. Let's see if it'll let me get back in there. Yeah, it's trying to populate down below here. See, we have 130 people, so I can actually go in here and I can see the different pages by different teachers, by different people that are within Isleta. So you'll have your class here, and then you'll be able to click into the different bulbs of your students right down in here. And that way you'll be, again, you're going to have access to them. They don't have to share it with you. It's automatic, because it's through our rostering system. Are there any questions about that? Are we good on that one? Okay.
No questions over here.
Yes.
No questions.
No questions. Okay. All right. We're good. All right. All right. So I want to talk just a little. Yes.
It says, can teachers group the students by periods through the groups?
You know what? I'm not sure how it's going to look because this is the first time that we're using it. I'm just going to be honest about that. I don't know if they're all going to be in alphabetical order or if they're going to be in specific groups or locations. That is something that I have a question too, and I'm hoping that hopefully Larry will have an answer for that, or Eric Wenrostel, because he's the one who's going to be doing the rostering for us. I I don't know for sure, but I can try to find out for you. Okay. All right. So if let's say that you do want to share out your bulb with other people, um, this isn't like a Google Doc where you can collaborate on a bulb together. It's you're going to share it with somebody else, or they're going to share it with you, and then you'll work. You'll be able to see each other's, but you won't be able to necessarily work on each other's. The only one that you have actually edit access to is your own. So, but if you do want to share it out, there's a share button, and this is the link to my bulb. Okay, and of course, I can share it out on different social media uh, places if I wanted to. But I could also take this link and where could I put it? Of course, into Google Classroom. I can have my students do that as well. Of course, you don't really need to because you already have access on the back end through Bulb. But if you so needed to get that link out in some other way, this is how you would do that. Okay. One other thing about Bulb that we've talked a lot about in my department is our digital badges. And if I go back in here to data, I actually have a digital badge page where I have some of my digital badges. And I'm going to go ahead and present that so it looks a little bit prettier. It's not in the edit mode. And the present mode, that's how people will see it who actually come to the bulb. So like this is how you would see your students when you would be like in a present mode. Okay. And I'm going to just kind of scroll down here and here's my badges. And right down here at the bottom, it says, if you would like a copy of my badge spreadsheet, which I have online, you just click on this link and it will force you to make a copy. Now we still have a little bit of time here and I would like to show you how you force somebody to make a copy because, us as teachers, we are big sharers. We love to share our stuff out with each other, right? Hey, I got this great thing and here, I'll share it with you. Well, and in Google, we do a lot of sharing. We share back and forth. But what happens when I share with my very good, awesome partner in first grade, and this is a Google document I've been working on really hard, and I share it out with my great friend, and they edit it because I shared it with them. They didn't make a copy. And I didn't even bother to tell her to make a copy because I assumed she was going to make a copy, and she edited my document. Yes, I can always go back and check a different version of it, but if I'm not sure how to do that, I'm feeling pretty lost right now because I worked so hard on it and now the formatting is all messed up and all that. How do I help myself with that? So I can show you right now how you can force somebody to make a copy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually click on another document here. I'm just going to go to I'm just going to go back to the spreadsheet right here. And up at the top you've got the share button, right? So if I click share, and normally we would just put their name up here and then they would have the edit rights to it. And we're like, yeah, that's fine. That's cool. Or sometimes we get the link if we're going to share it out to a lot of people, right? But where does that link go? It goes to this one document and that's it. But I'm going to go ahead and copy the link. Okay, so I have the link and it's copied. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to go to let me see here. Let me open up before I show you my next screen here. Let me open up a Google document super quick so I can show you how to put this, how to use this link here. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm in just a regular Google document. You see that, right? And everything in the world's going to pop up here. Here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that link in here. hopefully. Okay, see, there's the link, right? And I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this, and I hope this is going to zoom in. Okay, it's moving slowly, very, very slowly. Okay, all right, do you see the word edit right here? I'm going to click right in here. Oh, there, now it's going to go bigger. Okay, right here, I'm going to click right in front of that question mark, and I'm going to erase the word edit. And I'm going to type in the word copy. Okay. So when you go to share out a document, a lot of times we just share that link, we just throw it into the email and hope for the best. I recommend putting it into a Google Doc, putting it into a notes, putting it somewhere where you can change the link a little bit. Even if you put it in the email, just go back and edit that email, so, or that link, so it doesn't say edit here anymore, and it's going to say copy. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and copy this link again, and I'm going to open up a new tab here, and I'm going to paste it in there. We're going to see what happens. Oh, it's still big. Let me zoom back out. All right, what does it say here? It says, would you like to make a copy? Because it's going to force you. You can't even see the document. You have to make a copy, and it'll make a copy in that person that got the link into their Google Drive. So now they have the copy, and your original is perfectly safe. So this is a great way to share out those Google Sheet templates with other people. If you've got somebody who's really good at doing the spreadsheets, and if you have questions about that, our virtual office is open. You can come by and we'll walk you through the steps of it. I guarantee you it's not hard. I know it's a little overwhelming first when you're looking at spreadsheets. I know I was afraid of spreadsheets for the longest time, and then good old Larry Snyder, he really helped me to see the error of my ways and see how wonderful spreadsheets are. And now I just absolutely love them because they provide so much great data, and I can look at it in so many different ways. And I really wasn't a data person before, but I am now. So are there questions about how to make a copy? Are there questions on the Google Sheets? How to insert check marks or images? How to put these into bulb? How to get to bulb?
Nisha, I have a quick question. I'm sorry. So
Yes.
you showed us how to change the word edit to copy, correct?
Yes.
And
Yes.
what do I do with that? Do I go post that within the other document?
So you see how this is my link, right?
Right.
I pasted the link in, and all I did was I just went right in here, and this said edit. I changed it to copy. So then I copy this link, and this is the new link that I send out to my teachers. Or you don't use the one that's in the Google. You copy that link, and then you change it just a little bit.
Okay, within bulb. You can do it within bulb.
Not within bulb.
Okay.
But this is like if like you're my colleague and you created this awesome thing, and I like a copy of it. I'd like you to share it with me. When I share with other people, sometimes they don't make a copy, right? And so this is a great way. If yeah, sure, I'll share my template with you, no problem. And you send it to them, but you make sure that you change that edit to copy, and then that way they're not going to mess with your original.
I just thought I happened to see on your bulb page, if you'd like a copy of this.
Yes. And so what I did is I took this link. I took my copy link, and I went back into my, let me get into my bulb here. So what I did is I created this link here, and then I made sure that was the copy link, that it had the word copy in it. So that way they have to make a copy. It's not, you can't just go in there and get my original.
Thank you, Misha.
So, yes. Any questions? Any other questions? We are down to about 5 minutes. Can teachers group okay, I've already answered that question. I'm just looking through, making sure that there aren't any other questions in here. So I would really recommend trying out bulb. It's really easy and it's really pretty. And it's a great way. And I know that we've got a lot of us have those actual physical binders, but if we're going to be in this remote situation for a little while, and you heard Dr. Del Torre say this morning that more information is coming soon, you know, every day our world is changing, and we're going to need to really think about being digital. We're really going to need to think about that, because even if we do go back to school, we're going to have some of our kids who are not going to be there with us. They're going to be at home. And what are we going to do about those kids? And having a digital way for them to collect data, or, you know, for me to access it, for them to access it, that might be a solution, you know, because I know that I've seen them at all the campuses that I visited, where they've got, you know, those big binders, and you know, but this is a way to make it look a little prettier, and it's a lot lighter. It's not going to be heavy in my bag, I'll tell you that. What is the difference between create page and create collection? Okay, so once again, when you create a page, that page is like your sandwich in your Tupperware lunchbox, right? And the container that you have your sandwich in, because you know you can cut your sandwich into 4 pieces, and then each one of those pieces can be a page, right? So that container is your collection. What's inside. You've got all your pages inside the collection, and then you can have lots and lots of collections, which are all your little matchy pieces of your Tupperware. And then the big box that it's going to come in, the big huge lunch box, that is your whole entire bulb. So if you think about it that way, you've got your bulb, you've got your collections, and your collections, you can have a collection for science, you could have a collection for social studies. I had one for academic, I had one for non-academic. I had one, you can have a lot of collections, and within each of those collections, you can have pages. And those are the ones that you're actually going to edit, are the pages. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Okay, if I add a Google Slides to Bulb, will it update if students add something to their slide? Yes, it will update. It will update. You don't have to go back and update it because it's a live view. But when you first look at it, when you're in the edit view, it will tell you. If I go back to my page here, it will tell you. Let me unpresent this page here. Let me go back, so that way you can see what it's top here. Come on. All right. See everything that you want to see because you're in edit mode. Once you go to present mode, you're going to see it the way that, because it's going to be pulling in that live data. So when you look at it the first time, you might say, oh my gosh, my new data is not on here. It will be on there once you present it live, because then it's actually pulling from that Google document that is a live liquid document, or your Google Sheets or whatever. So yes, it will be seen. You can contact me. You can email me at mdaniel. You can also come to our Innovative Learning virtual office here in the chat. Let me put it in there, what it's called, so that way you can copy this down. And
good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just had a quick question. The bulb is very similar to Google Classroom in that aspect, yes, that as the students add these collections, they're going to see them from class to class, right? It's not specific just to our class, correct?
No. Yeah, they have access to everything. And what's great about it is next year, you know, it's going to travel with them. They're not going to have to like be removed from a class or anything else, because it's their bulb. It's going to stay with them, even once they leave the district. And I'm going to tell you that I do know that we've had a couple of teachers within our district who were hired by using their bulb. that was their resume. That was their way of showing off what they have done. So, and I know that that's what Texas is thinking about using Bulb in that way, is this is a portfolio to help our students when they go out to the real world. And hopefully there will be a real world without COVID one of these days.